What's going on YouTube? It's your boy Dreamshot Tactical back with another product review. So today we're here to talk about why I do not run the Alpha or the Timney Alpha Glock trigger for the Gen 5 in my Glock 34. This used to be my race gun that I would run competitions and basically be my main plinker gun, as people would say. But I used to run the Timney Glock Alpha trigger in it, and I took it out. And the reason being is that the Glock trigger that we all know and love as just the original Glock trigger, even though it's squungy and trash, but we know that it's reliable. And that's one thing that most folks buy Glocks for, is this reliability, right? So I put the Timney Glock trigger in it, which gave this Glock around a 3-pound trigger pull. And the thing that I loved about this Timney Glock trigger was that it was easily, you can install it by yourself, basically. It came with a trigger shoe and shit that you can basically just drop in. And it made it so easy. I'm not by any means an expert on putting parts on firearms. I usually don't trust myself to do it because I don't want to break it. But they made it pretty simply made stupid. And for about 6 months, I can say, I was actually a fan of this Timney Alpha Glock trigger because it made the Glock trigger so light and crisp. It reminded me more of a Canic trigger, or I would say more of a Canic trigger, something very nice and light, PDP kind of trigger feel. But as time went on, and you ran more and more and more rounds through your firearm, I started to realize that my Timney Alpha Glock trigger was starting to stick after every shot. And I would have to get into a mode where after I fired my shot, the trigger itself would not reset. And it would basically stay in basically the hammer down position, or whatever you would want to call it, or the action locked position. And I would have to tap the gun just for the trigger to pretty much pop forward for me to be able to send my next round down range. And that's an absolute no-no for any firearm at that, but especially for a Glock. I feel like anybody, if we're going to be running any type of Glock, you're running it mainly because it's a pretty stupidly made, make shooting pretty stupid, and pretty easy. But at the same time, is the reliability. I just took it out. I was like, you know what? I done ran competitions and it was running smooth, running sweet. After I realized, I guess once the gun started really getting dirty, which is a Glock, you're supposed to be able to run a Glock and get a Glock very dirty. And it started failing. And once it started failing, I took it out, and it's been in the box ever since. See, still has everything, all the parts. And I don't think I'm going to trust putting it back in the firearm. I know a lot of people had their own videos where they so-called diagnosed the problems and what you should have to do in order for it to run with no issues. And I feel like if I'm gonna buy an Alpha Glock trigger from Timney, and I'm gonna spend, I think I've spent probably like $100, maybe 120 for it at the time, and it so-called was top of the line drop-in, no problems, no issues, it was supposed to run. And it definitely was running for a while, but started giving me issues. But maybe after like 1,000 rounds or so, it was really giving me the most issues with not resetting. I think the trigger shoe was just getting stuck, which is in there somewhere, but I'm not about to pull the box apart. So Would I recommend it to anybody? No. Does not run reliable enough for me to say, hey, go buy the Timney Alpha Glock trigger. I was a fan when I first got it. Like I said, it made the triggers pull very sweet, but am I a fan now? No. In the box, it should stay. Timney Alpha Glock trigger, just keep your regular Glock trigger or find a different brand that, people say that run without any problems. But for the most part, I put the regular Glock trigger back in there, and it's been reliable ever since, no issues. So just waiting to see what red dot I want to put back on there. I had a Hollow Sun on there, but in due time, I'm going to show this girl some more love. I haven't showed her any love in a while. My Glock 34 Gen 5. Oh, man. I had put those suppressor height sights on there. But in due time, we'll show her some more love. But for the most part, Timney Alpha Glock trigger for the Gen 5. 3 pounds trigger pull. They ain't lie. It was a pretty nice, sweet trigger pull, but definitely not worth it when it comes to reliability. So skip out on it if you can. Find somebody more reliable. It's a no-go for me. Dreamshot Tactical here. Follow me on Instagram, Dreamshot_tactical. Hey, I just do it for everybody. I test it out, so if you was thinking about it, you don't have to. All right? Alpha Glock trigger, Gen 5. No-go.